The Garnet Old Show, no inside info, no contacts, no problem. It's Ryan. That's Vince. The playoffs are on, and we're doing a show. That's what we're doing because we live in a crazy world right now, and the game didn't happen until today.
That's a terrible throw just now. Notre Dame's going to get called for pass interference here. I don't think they should, but they're going to get called. You know how it is. Yeah, Garnet Old, no inside info, no contacts, no problem. Live.
Yeah.
Live from
Yeah.
the Captain Black's Fishing Studios. You as well.
Yeah, north and south.
North and central.
North and central, that's right.
And central. Captain Black's Charter Fishing out of Panama City Beach. If you're looking for some charter fishing opportunities, give Captain Black a call. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. He posted something on his Facebook page the other day. Just say scads and scads of fish that they caught. I couldn't begin to tell you what the fish were, but there were a ton of them. So whoever chartered that particular trip had a great time. So
we would be remiss if we didn't start the show by sending prayers and condolences out to all the victims affected by the terrible terrorist attack in New Orleans. I'm glad not too many people were hurt in the Las Vegas one, but it's a crazy world, Vince. And I wanted to start it off real quick with that because it kind of hit home for me because similar situation as us being at that LSU game. You know, there's a game going on, everyone's having a good time. You imagine the scene was very similar to the scene of FSU fans prior to the right. kickoff game. And so we've been on those streets, and I can't even imagine witnessing that in person. And unfortunately, due to modern social media, it's unavoidable to actually see the footage. It just pops in your feed, and you'll be like, well, there it is. But yeah, thoughts and prayers out to everyone. It sucks. Anyone who is complaining about the game being canceled yesterday, shame on you. Bigger things to worry about in the life and world than that.
I've been able to avoid the video just because I can see it come off my feed, and I just scroll past it. I don't need to see it.
Yep.
I don't need those kind of things burned in my brain. Mm-hmm. I know that it's horrific. I don't need to see it in graphic detail. Yep. But you know, we've got a couple. We've got a friend of ours that's there. Rockin' Noel is there. So he was going to the game, and I also have another friend of mine whose son is there. He plays in the UGA band. So they were on lockdown in their hotel all day yesterday. So, you know, his family was rightly very concerned about him. And, but yeah, it's, I don't want this, you know, I don't want to prognosticate, but it really seems like these things are starting to pick up. We're starting to get more and more of these things, and that's unfortunate. And
early indications indicate these two were likely connected, coming from the same military base.
Yeah, there's so much. It's easy enough for people to connect even the most minuscule thread. So I'm, you know.
One thing I will say, Vince,
I don't know about that, but
this isn't a conspiracy show, and I promise we'll get on FSU right after this.
We are going to get on it.
But it ain't a conspiracy to hear the FBI director 6 months ago saying on Capitol Hill that they know that there's agents in the United States.
Sure.
And he said he would be surprised if there wasn't attacks.
Right.
So my hope is this doesn't become even more frequent, because if this becomes some kind of trend or it's like a planned thing, just for the time being, it's one of those things, you know, I think it's human nature. I kind of told my wife that, you know, maybe you're going to avoid some larger, you know, maybe not go to like an Orlando big, you know, thing right now. Just let it blow over a little bit. It's probably silly. I'm sure nothing would happen, but I'm sure everyone in New Orleans and I didn't possibly think anything like that would happen.
Right. And, you know, the drones are still flying too, by the way. and we haven't heard anything about that. But anyway,
Yeah, let's not ignore that. Ignore that over there, It's fine.
thank you to everybody that's joining in tonight. You guys are hardcore. You are, the foundational bedrock of Garnet Old, and we really appreciate that. I mean, it's literally the second day of the new year. There's a college football pageant game on right now. I've got it down on my iPad right here. I'm watching it. But you've chosen to tune in. If you are watching on YouTube, thank you. Go ahead and subscribe. If you don't mind, go subscribe and like the show. And if you want to grab the link to the show and put that in your other social media feeds, that would be great. And if you happen to be watching on other platforms, also great. Just hop on over to YouTube and hit the like button. And Ryan, we also have memberships to Garnet Old. Ryan and I have some big plans coming up for this year that we've been talking about, how this year is going to be bigger and better, bigger, stronger, faster. And so becoming a member on YouTube will ensure that you have access to all those things. And there'll be more about that coming out as we get closer to the spring game. And then what else? What else was I going to say? I think that's pretty much it. Oh, if you want to Venmo us, our Venmo is there as well. If you're looking at super chat, it's just the way we keep things going. There's a lot of lights behind me. Those are paid for, but we like to keep all the lights on.
There's a lot of lights I got to keep on behind me.
A lot of lights. I just took all my Christmas lights down.
How long did that take you, Vince?
Day and a half.
Yeah. Yeah, I would assume that's your least favorite part. However, it does give you, at least for me, whenever I do it, I try to put it away even more carefully and organized than I got it out, because when I'm getting all the stuff out, I usually go, why did I do that?
Yeah.
But then the next year you inevitably say, why did I do that? And
right.
Yeah.
Yes. I spend a good bit of time the last few years building pre-staged props. So it only takes me a couple days to put it out there and a day and a half to put it all away, which is much different than the old days. It would take me a whole week. So. Yeah.
All right, let's talk Florida State, because there is a lot to talk about. One, I want to start with the kind of the, I don't want to say like maybe not the biggest news. Let's talk about Squirrel.
Yeah, sure.
Surprising one for me, actually, because say what you want about Tennessee blowing a lot of their opportunities this year. They seem to be on the upward trend as a program compared to the last decade or so. It just seems like they're going to be a consistent minimum, like 8-9 win team. And when that happens, you kind of look at it and you say, okay, you would assume that players who did pretty well, I'm going to call him Squirrel, and that's it. But Squirrel, because he is that's an amazing nickname, by the way.
Yes. Do you? Yeah, you're assuming that everybody knows who you're talking about.
Oh, everyone knows Squirrel.
Everyone that's watching right now, do you know Squirrel? If you do, little thumbs up in the chat. Little like, yes, I know who that is. I know the position. I know what school he's trying to transfer from. Just let us know. Ryan is going the nickname route.
Always will. Tennessee wide receiver named Squirrel. That's what you need to know.
Yeah. I did not put a squirrel on the graphic. I forgot to put it on there, but he is on the graphic, but a squirrel graphic is not on the graphic. So tell me why. I mean, I have my own thoughts on why, but tell me what you think on why he would be looking for greener pastures or garnet pastures.
I mean, I looked at his season totals. They're fine. He was, you can tell he wasn't the center, focus of an offense or anything like that, but solid contributor. What's funny is, though, his numbers as a solid contributor at Tennessee probably would have been our leading wide receiver this year. And so I think both he and what's the last one that committed?
Deuce Robinson.
Yep, Deuce Robinson. You got to imagine a lot of Deuce's reasons was, history and family and all that stuff. But both of them are probably looking and saying, there's no alpha on this team. And Gus Malzahn coached offenses, although they heavily focus on the run, they also focus on getting guys wide open for shot plays. Um, so my guess is they're ready to rack up some yards and want to be a featured player in this offense and look at the current roster at Florida State and say there isn't one.
Correct.
So spots open. Now, what I was surprised about though is I think Tennessee is just a healthier program right now. As far they didn't win 2 games, so
Right.
you have to assume some NIL.
Call you on that, but yes, in
Yeah.
terms of last season, yes.
Yes. So you have to assume some NIL, but I'm sure Tennessee also had an NIL situation with them. So I'm excited for it. I'm getting more and more buoyed by the day with the visits, and we'll talk more about the visits here in a second. But I think last time I checked, we were sitting at like the number 7 transfer class, and that's pretty good.
It's very good, and considering the types of players that
Yeah.
came in, as far as Squirrel is concerned, there. I think it is what you're saying.
Mhm.
It's about being the guy. To me,
Mhm.
that's got to be what it is. I can't imagine that we are offering ridiculously more money than say Tennessee would to keep him,
Mhm.
because he is not their alpha dog, right? As far as I know, I mean
Yeah, not
he's
numbers wise, no.
so yeah, so he could come and be between he and Deuce, because he looked at it the same way. Like,
Yeah.
who do I have to supplant? There ain't much there. So that's got to be what it is.
Yep.
And Florida State, even though this past season was a complete disaster,
Mhm.
is not in a disaster state,
Sure.
right? And there's a lot of momentum. There's a lot of excitement about what could be coming up this next season with all the changes that are coming. So the staff is, looking for people that have produced. They're not looking for projects.
Yep.
They're looking for people that have put numbers on the board,
Mhm.
whatever those numbers are. If you're an offensive guy or a defensive guy, whatever the numbers are, they're looking for people that have done it at a high level wherever they're going to come from. Um, and so he fits that bill. He fits that
Yep.
bill.
He fits that bill, and so does Rashul Falson from Utah State. One of the top prospects, if you're looking at a running back in the portal. Um, coming, we're going to be hosting him. And hey, listen, I'll take a running back too, because the running back thing is even more clear than a wide receiver path and why they would come here. You're a running back focused offense. Let's go. I mean that connecting the dot, that's easy, Vince. And by the way, Georgia did not convert on 4th down, and it appears Notre Dame's on the pathway to win and bounce bounce the SEC out of this situation. That'd be nice. But yeah, I think Falson's a good pickup. And there's a few other, with Caleb Lavelle coming in from North Carolina. Again, Vince, all of these have the same common denominator: proven experience, not bench players that have never seen time that were 5 stars but haven't gotten time. That was the formula, kind of, for a few players the last couple of years. Didn't necessarily work out. So I think we're going with proven commodities, and I'm excited about that. And I'm even more excited about the defensive players we're going to have visit. So
Yeah, I think the Caleb kid, he's got some production, but it's really late coming production, like in the last part of the season,
yep,
including the bowl game, right?
which is great.
So,
Yeah, that's fine.
um, so yeah, I think they're going about it the right way. They really cannot risk bringing in wing and a prayer people that maybe have the measurables but have never shown the ability to put the numbers on the board. But
Yeah,
looks like we had a comment here from Chris. You want to pop that up there?
yeah, absolutely. Chris from Sporadics, friend of the show, says, "What's up, fellas? About to land some D linemen. We certainly hope so." And I assume he's talking about Chris Murray and Demonte Diggs. Correct me, audience. Correct us if we're wrong. If I have outdated information, but I believe Jalen Jenkins from Tennessee also was set to visit, but has canceled his visit and exploring other options. But we do know that Chris Murray, who's from Sam Houston, and Demonte Diggs from Coastal Carolina. Now I want to go through these numbers, Vince. Chris Murray, 50 tackles, 12 tackles for loss, and 5.5 sacks last season. That'll get it done.
Yes, it will.
And Demonte Diggs, 34 tackles, 6.5 tackles for loss, and 5 sacks last season. Also, will get it done. So I love that we're getting experience on the defensive line.
Yeah. Also, the Caleb kid, he's a linebacker, right? And
Caleb
there's
Lavelle.
Caleb Lavallee. I don't know how to
I'm
say
going to
that.
say Lavelle.
They're going to say Lavelle. Go with that. Georgia or Notre Dame just go for it on 4th and 1 on their own, like 18-yard line.
Yeah, it makes sense.
They did, and they got them to jump. Yep, offside. So there we go. But the other linebacker that's visiting is Marquez Watson Trent,
Yep.
who I know because he's a Georgia Southern guy,
Mm-hmm.
and I think he was the defensive player of the year in the Sun Belt. So he's got
Gatta.
exactly Gatta. He's on his visit as well, or he was. I don't know if he's still there. But, linebacking core, another one, production, proven production. Yes, it's in the Sun Belt, but I watched the kid play. He's a player.
Yeah. And Vince, I did watch some of his tape and some of the others' tape too.
Yeah.
Common denominator I'm also noticing on defensive players is extreme effort, even on plays they're not directly involved in,
No, you don't say.
which is so nice to see because I am done the last couple of years, especially last year, seeing some of the players where listen. I know the kids put out their highlight tapes, of course, but um, actual game tape doesn't lie, and these guys have high motors,
Yeah,
and I
they are
appreciate
not.
that.
Yeah, they're gonna play. They're gonna play through the play, whether they are in the play or not. And they are going to make their presence felt. So we didn't see a lot of that.
Can I tell you who the bellwether of the transfer class will be, though?
The bell cow.
Luke Pettibon.
Yeah, he's already in.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. He's going to
Yeah.
be the most important, I believe. My opinion. I love all these players. I love the defensive players. But when you're running a run first offense, the center communicates. The
Yeah.
center has to be the guy getting the initial push. He gets everything going communication wise and lining up on the offensive line. And it's a good center. And I think when you have proven ACC experience, I think he was the number 3 center in the ACC as far as PFF grades and everything. When you have an offense, and that was your main issue last year, because let's be honest, the defense struggled, but it was more when we started getting so bad, so many losses that it just became
Sure.
like whatever. Talent wise, there was still talent on the
Yes.
roster,
Yes.
but offense just seemed like lost.
You-
Everyone,
well, because you couldn't even get started.
right?
You couldn't even get started, and it starts with literally the center.
Yeah,
And it starts with the line. That's what it starts with. We could not get started. And so this whole revamped line, like I said last week, Ryan, it's going to take me a while to get to know all the names because there are so many fresh names. But I would, as far as the most critical piece, you might be right that he may be the most critical piece that's been acquired up to this point.
Yeah, and it's not. I wouldn't even say he's the most talented. It's just the talent level at the position of absolute have to have it need. And I think Gus knew that. and I think we went out and got them. And I would assume that we can outbid Wake Forest
Right.
on the talent level as far as paying NIL deals. And here's the thing: unlike some other collectives at Florida State, even uh,
Mm.
the Battle's End has its act together. We'll talk about the other one here in a second, but the Battle's End is doing some work in this offseason. They're all in. So my concerns about, yes, they're saying, hey, Mike, a few months ago when Mike was like, we're going to get this fixed, and all the reports were they're going to give him everything he wants. In the back of my head, I was always thinking, yeah, but will they really, like, for everything? Because there's some risk. The risk being, if it still is crap next year, well, then he's gone and so is everyone else. That's the risk, and that's a legitimate risk. Um, but to their credit, they lived up to their word. The administration, Battles, everyone lived up to their word on, we think this is salvageable. We don't think Mike Norvell was the main issue here. There's some other things we got to clean up. Let him fix it. He's fixed it before. And to their credit, they did what they said they were going to do. He got whatever coaches he wanted, and Battles End has went out and got and paid amongst the best when it comes to getting players in here. So you got to give credit where credit's due.
Yeah, I was never necessarily concerned about that, only because it's a calculated risk.
Right.
Because you could say it's a risk they took because he could be out of here next year. I mean, it would have to be another catastrophic season, I believe, for
Yeah, it
that
has
to
to be a 3 or
happen.
4, 2, whatever. Yeah.
And I think the things that went awry this year were an anomaly. I'm not saying we would have been a great team. I'm just saying 2-10 is an anomaly.
Yeah.
With the talent you have on the roster, that's an anomaly. So the chances, that's what I'm saying. It's a calculated risk. I think that the financial minds behind it all understand that,
Yep.
and so they look at it more as a 2-year plan. Not that we're throwing next year out the window. I'm just saying that they weren't looking at it like you have to. This has to be completely 180 back to 13-0 in one season. Because I don't think that you would be able to get the coaches that you got if that were the case.
Yeah.
And I don't think you would be able to get some of the people that have come through with the portal if that was the case. Yeah, so I don't know if you're following this game here or
I
not,
am.
Ron.
Yeah. It looks like Notre Dame's going to win this game.
Yeah, but one series ago, Riley Leonard took off on a quarterback jet on the left and got cartwheeled for the first down. It was awesome.
Like Chris Rick style.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, they're all in, and no matter what anybody says, because I know when the season didn't go the way everybody wanted it to go, people started blaming the Battle's End for that.
Yeah, we never did.
And
Yeah.
specifically Ingram Smith, which I tried to you try to let people know that that's not kind of how it works. If you want to blame anybody, you blame the coaches for the players they brought in. Battle's End is just basically bankrolling the choices that the coaches make. Up to the amount that they can, right?
Yeah.
So I found it very interesting and also kind of telling that. Do you listen to the Nolecast?
I listened to it. It's very dry.
I'm not trying to put you on the
No,
spot.
no. I want to be put on the spot. I listen to it for specific things. When there's a really compelling Florida State game, like a big one, I want to know the intricacies, the small details, the advanced analytics stuff. I love that stuff. But as a entertainment podcast, not my cup of tea.
Yeah, I listen to it. I don't want to say regularly, and it's been less regularly since Ingram has not been as consistent with it, which is kind of my point. is that it was very telling that it's at a particular point last season, Ingram kind of bowed out of that responsibility for a while.
Yeah.
To me, that just screams, "Hey, we got other things we got other fires that need to be taken care of." So, and I've only met Ingram once or twice. From what I can tell, pretty stand up dude. And diehard Nole. So,
Yeah.
they're not sitting back holding the purse strings tight, saying
Yeah.
we're not going to give you the money that you need. They're going to make the best financial decisions that they can for the players that are out there to build this roster back up the way it needs to be built.
I want to bring up something quick. Side note before we move to the next topic, Vince. I have never once on this show been critical of any of our peers, and peers I say lightly because we're the little dogs. No inside info, no contacts, no problem.
For real, we are the little dogs.
There's a few channels that are about our size, but for the most part, there's much bigger ones, right?
We are the Chihuahua in the kennel of Dobermans and Saint Bernards.
I want to address two things. I am actually a big, and I know people have very hardline opinions on things. I'm a huge fan of War Chant.
I know you are.
I listen to Jeff Cameron. I think he's listen. Jeff has been nothing but kind to us. So has Tom. Jeff's been on our show, and he did not have to do that.
He did not.
Always was kind.
Chihuahuas.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, Vince, always kind to us.
Yes, and entertaining.
When we were starting our show, gave me advice, and Tom gave me advice on equipment and how they set things up. So I love those guys. I don't love Aslan Hutch of Andy.
I know you. I knew where this was going,
and I know you don't either, Vince. You might not say it on camera, but I know you don't. And listen, what happened over the weekend, and to fill people in, Aslan, in his infinite wisdom, put out a video that was like basically, "Hey, the end of the year, what a year," and it was the most insulting personal attack on the Florida State football program. When I saw it, Vincent, I saw it before it got deleted.
Yeah,
because it was nothing going on. I think it was like Sunday morning, or I don't know what day it was. It was early, and I'm like, you can't. Are you kidding me? When I watched it, I'm like, oh my god, this is Nole fan suicide that my man just committed live on X. And good on Warchant, I'm assuming, for asking him to delete it. I'm just going to assume that that's how it happened.
It must be.
And I'm never going to be the guy that's like, he's got to be fired. That's their business. That's not our business. They know him. They know him on a personal level. I'm sure they wouldn't keep him around if they didn't think the world of him from a human being standpoint. Whatever. I have my own opinions about how I feel how that person is, but I don't know him in real life, so he could be completely different. But his persona on the shows is the most nails on chalkboard personality I've ever had on any show. But I want your take, Vince. What did you think about the video? Because I was absolutely pissed.
I knew immediately that it would not be long for the world, because it was, and I don't know how you come to the decisions that you come to making that video. I can give him the benefit of the doubt and say, trying to pinpoint his personality to a degree, that he thought it would be met with sarcastic humor and things like that. But buddy, and he's not a Nole. Like, that's not his upbringing, as far as I know. So, like, you don't want to, and not that we are all like these sensitive, negative people or whatever, but you don't want to cross that line, right? This is a very passionate fan base, and we will, ridicule outsiders, and we will ridicule each other to a degree. But when you start going at the program like that in a way that is,
Unprofessional.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Should give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm sure or I'm pretty positive he wouldn't mean it that way. If he did mean it that way, then he should be let go, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah.
And I knew it wouldn't be long for the world. So it's a shame that happened. And War Chant, I've been a War Chant member for a long time, and like you said, I appreciate Jeff Cameron and him being a friend to us. He may not know that he was a friend to us, but we know that he was a friend to us.
I mean, he agreed to be on our show without asking any questions.
Yes, and Tom has been great, and Corey makes me laugh. Ira makes me laugh. Like, they're entertaining, they're knowledgeable, and they're entertaining. I'll just leave it at that, and I'll just say, because you know me, I couch my words. Aslan is not my cup of tea.
Yeah.
He is the farthest from the cup of tea that I would ever drink.
Yes. In fact,
that doesn't mean that other people don't enjoy him, because I'm sure there are people out there that don't enjoy what we do.
Oh, I'm sure of it. Yeah.
And that's okay. Speaking of, if you are watching right now, it's a great segue there. Go like the show.
Yeah.
Go like the show, subscribe to the show, put the link out to the show. I'm going to be giving away 5 memberships on YouTube here in about 5 minutes.
And Vince will play an obnoxious air horn when he does it, right?
I will not do that.
Yeah.
But if you're watching from X or somewhere else and you want a YouTube membership for free for a month, get on over to YouTube right now, because let's see, it's 7:32. At 7:40, I'm going to give them away at 7:40.
Yeah, and FYI, everyone, the game's it's a minute 27 left in the game, 23-10. So Notre Dame will win, and they will face Penn State in one of the playoff games and Texas Ohio State in the other. So Vince, before we go on to just real quick, before we go on to the other Florida State stuff, I know you don't care as much because of the pageant and the situation, but you're a college football fan. My hopeful matchup now, because of I want Ohio State Penn State because it's just fun. I would like that. And honestly, I'm kind of in a weird way rooting for Penn State because that man has been crapped on.
Yeah.
Franklin has been tortured by his own fan base, and sometimes because of a good reason, because he can't win the big one. But
well, sure,
I wanted, and we're going to talk about Arizona State next. I think I wanted so bad to have a team that, like in Arizona State, that I could really be like let's show it. But Penn State would be a fun one just because of how close he's gotten so many times to being anything more than just like a good team.
Yeah.
That I'm kind of rooting for him, and I don't want Notre Dame to win. I don't want any SEC program to win, and Ohio State, screw them forever, because I don't know. I don't like them. So Penn State it is.
Arizona State was my, I don't really root for other teams. I just don't. But they were the team that I would have wanted to win it. And they got hosed a little bit yesterday.
A little bit.
And they were right there, and they belonged in that game, and they belong in the pageant, and they were fantastic, and they probably should have won that game.
Yeah.
Whereas Georgia really doesn't belong. They're being outclassed.
Neither did Alabama.
They really just don't belong. Mm-hmm. And yeah, he just got sacked there. So that's pretty much the end of that. So next in line will be Penn State.
Yeah, Penn State.
Penn State for me, because, I mentioned this. I was on the Renegade Report last night or 2 nights ago. I can't remember. By the way, congratulations to George and the Renegade Report. They hit 3,000 subscribers right at the end of the year. Ryan and I are trying to get there, man. We are trying. So subscribe, people. But I was on his show, and I made a comment that had I not moved to Florida when I was 10 years old, I probably would have ended up going to Penn State, because it was, kind of where my family's from. And my grandfather watched them, and he enjoyed them, and that was his team.
Yeah.
So that's probably where I would have ended up going.
Similar teams, too, back then. Very similar.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact,
Topa, yeah.
the first Florida State game I ever saw live was the Blockbuster Bowl, Penn State and Florida State. That was in 1990. Florida State won that game.
Yeah.
But other than that, yeah, I mean, Oregon didn't belong. They don't belong.
Yeah, we're going to combine the Arizona State conversation with Kirk Herbstreit point of it.
Yeah.
So let's talk
Man,
Arizona.
has
Let's
got
let's
it.
let's first start with the positive of Arizona State because first of all, best bowl game of the year so far.
Oh, it was awesome.
One of the best games of the college football season.
Yeah.
Scadaboo throwing up and getting in the game and fluids, and he was clearly like just toast by the end of it. But here's the thing that just got me, Vince, is like there was some questionable play calling at Texas, man.
Yeah.
You're up, everything's going your way, and you're throwing the ball like trying to I don't know. I know you're trying to ice it, but man, just run the ball. You have the better offensive line. You're moving the line every time you run it, and you're throwing it. And Quinn Ewers is just airmailing him in. You had just thrown a pick, and then you throw another pick. And
Yeah.
so I'm just thinking to myself, first of all, Texas, what are you doing? But also, man, that Scadaboo and what's the quarterback's name for Arizona State? I forget.
Oh,
Whatever his name is.
Everett. Well,
They
yeah.
clearly just watching it, they gave 2,000% effort.
Oh, it was fun to watch. They're a
Yeah,
fun team to watch, and Ewers, he's just auditioning for going to Miami next year. I think Miami's going to pay him like $800 million to go and be their quarterback
yeah,
next year, trying to get him to come back for another year. But Scadaboo, by the way, there were people like all over him in the first half on Twitter, on all these other places, like how he was saying how he's the best running back and he's not putting up those kind of numbers or
yeah,
whatever. And then my man just goes and does it all for the whole second half.
yeah. And it's like guys in the first half, it's hard when the Texas defensive line is fresh and
Yeah.
that's a, there's a massive size difference between the offensive line at Arizona State and defensive line at Texas. And so all I can say, Vince, is the effort was apparent. It was a fun game. Screw the call on the not targeting. It
Ridiculous.
is. I
Hey,
give I'll give one credit. David Pollock from been on game day, a long time, been around a long time. Kudos to him for going on X and saying, he's like, I'm speechless about that call. If that's not targeting, I have no idea what targeting means anymore.
well, and how about I shouldn't be surprised, but I always am. Like some pretty big name people in the media, social media, and in media in general saying things like, yeah, they made the right call by not calling it. No, that's not the right call. You
Yeah,
either have a targeting or you don't. And what I mean by that is you're either going to have a rule or you're not going to have a rule. You can't be calling that targeting throughout the whole season.
yeah,
And then just because you're in a game that is coming down to it, that you're not going to make that call, that's ridiculous. And these people that have a
yeah,
platform, unfortunately, are just, dismissing it, saying, yeah, that's, there's no way they should have called that.
yeah.
Well then,
And Vince,
well then don't have the rule.
you're missing out. You're missing a huge point on it, though. You, I know you either call it or you don't, but you either have an SEC team in the next round or you don't. Um,
No, I know. I get it. I mean, I
yeah,
know why, Ryan. I get it, and I understand the whole point to all that. And for
but
people that
Kirk
don't,
Herbstreit, man,
you think this is not a tinfoil cap. It is not Garnet tinfoil. But I'm telling you, people, go watch our conspiracy show from a few weeks ago. It has nothing to do with football, but there is some shady stuff going on to
yeah,
keep certain teams alive. There just is.
yeah.
There just
There,
is.
there
Let's
just
give
is.
some, let's give some memberships away.
Yeah, go ahead. While you prep it, are you ready to go with them?
I'm going to gift 5 memberships right now. You have to be on YouTube to get it.
First come,
And
first serve.
first come, first serve. You get a month for free. And Ryan can tell you a little about what that gets you.
Yep.
But, I can't pinpoint specifically who gets it. So here they come. 3, 2, 1.
If you get one, you get members only shows, and we're going to record one, I believe, this weekend. Because we owe you guys one for the first part of the year. We do one about every other week. At minimum twice a month, we do a members only show. Also, follow us on X and tweet at us and say, "Hey, I am a member on the Garnet Old show," and we'll follow you back. And what that allows you to do is to DM us directly. You can make jokes, suggest topics, and we will also feature you as a member on our show if you comment. We'll shout you out, more than we normally would for a normal comment.
We haven't done any shout outs, Ryan.
Yeah, I'm gonna go through right now because we have a ton of people watching. Spear Addicts, of course, Chris. Thank you as always for watching and supporting us. R. Wilmer. By the way, Spear Addicts, we need to do a crossover show soon again.
Yeah,
We
he
need to go on.
offered, and I just keep forgetting to ask him. So, Chris, I know, hopefully you're still watching, but let us know your schedule. Would love for you to come on.
Yeah, and we'll happy to go on with you guys anytime. R. Wilmer in the chat as always, big commenter, which I appreciate. Let me tell you what, when you're giving a presentation or a podcast or anything in the whole world, there's nothing worse than a silent room. And you know that very well as a trainer, Vince.
I
It's
do.
really tough.
I need to look out, and I need to see eyeballs, and I need to see people nodding their head like they
Yep.
agree with me, or shaking their head that they don't agree with me. Because either way, I know that I'm getting through to someone.
Yep. Lauren McGann also in the chat. We got Tomcat, my man Tomcat, as always. Hey, Tomcat, I'm going to go. Remember, I'm doing Garnet Old live from a cruise ship,
Mhm.
February, first
20
week of February.
27 days, right, to your cruise?
Yep. And I'm going to do the whole show from the cruise ship. So don't miss out on that one. No, you'll love it. Brett Taylor, huge supporter of the Garnet Old show. Daniel Gorby, John D, Sam 89, 8911 SK.
Yeah,
That's about it.
that's about it. All right. We gave them away. All state Sugar Bowl champions, Notre Dame, Georgia goes home. Texas should have gone home last night.
Good
Uh,
matchups, by the way, for the next round. I mean, it is going to be good games.
yeah.
Kirk Herbstreit. Let's touch on this.
Hold on.
We covered it last week.
Hold on. Before you do that, Kenny Dillingham, good on you, brother. I'm so excited for you and so excited for the program you're building out there. I wish it would have gone better for you last night. But just I'm going to continue to root for you and keep it on.
My man Kenny, you got to give him the thumbs up.
Oh
And
yeah,
happy New Year, Kenny.
I don't think I have you on anymore.
It makes you wonder. The thoughts cross my mind, and it's a fleeting thought. How much of the offense being diverse and creative was Kenny Dillingham? Retro looking back.
Who knows? Who knows?
We know that he was much more involved in play calling decisions than Alex Atkins. We do know that. But good on Kenny. I mean, when he went there, I thought as a head coach, pretty young, but man, you playoff appearance,
Hmm.
can't beat that. And it sounds like, I mean, I feel like they're going to be back a few times over the next 10 years. So
Think about where that program was too.
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Herm Edwards,
Oh,
right?
I
And
forgot.
and and didn't they had like all these violations and stuff, and they
Yeah.
had to pretty much like vacate the whole staff. It's oh man, so
Yeah.
that turnaround is phenomenal.
And so let's talk Kirk Herbstreit. We talked about it last week. Everyone knows the thing, the quote from a couple weeks ago when he said, people, certain teams didn't belong and all this nonsense. First of all, kudos to all the people, big time people that have come out since then saying it's not about one-off results or blowouts. Because if that was the case, we've had a ton of blowouts in the playoffs so far, a
Right.
ton of them from huge teams to little teams. It hasn't mattered. We've had blowouts. Almost like the
Years,
better team wins by
decades.
a large margin.
Yeah, for decades it's been that way.
So, but then we talked about last week how sensitive he is for being such a big name. He is literally one of the biggest names in college football, and he comments to nobody
So
on X. And someone pointed out, upon the results coming out when Alabama lost that game, you know, basically poking him a little bit, and he said, uh, facts matter and call people clowns. And my favorite thing is, Vincent, we talked about this on our conspiracy show. The comment, the what do you call it on Twitter, where they put the
community note.
community notes. First
Oh,
of all, I love community notes in general on X. It's really been a nice feature. The community notes pointing out the hypocrisy. I just want to. I wish I was there when he pulled up that post, which he did, to see how the reactions were going, and he sees his community notes where it was pointing out the hypocrisy.
well, yeah.
Nothing made me happier. But man, what a soft way! What
He
a
he probably read that from his bubble bath. He was taking a bubble bath. He had the dog next to him outside. He got petting the dog outside the bath. He got
yeah.
the candles lit. He's trying to get into a good vibe, and reads the community note. And you can just tell like it's breaking him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he probably needs some more dogs. I really thought that the dog was just a dog, but apparently the dog is necessary.
The dog is necessary.
And
Soft buddy, man.
soft, soft, soft. And he used to be great at what he did. Like I used to enjoy listening to him and the observations he would make. And it's not just this past year. It's been gradually happening over the last 3 or 4 years, maybe even 5 years, where he's just slid into this, like he's the only one that knows anything.
Yeah, I watch more football than anyone. I'm pretty sure there's plenty of people out there that watch every game, Kirk. And
Have you been blocked by him?
what's that?
Have you been blocked by him?
Not yet, which I'm surprised because I have tweeted at him like I did this past week.
I must not be to the point enough.
Yeah.
Because I haven't been blocked yet, and I think I'm pretty straightforward with him. Not that I'm looking to get blocked, but I'm telling you what, if you block me, of all people, if you block VC Noel, you are really, really soft. It doesn't get any softer than that.
Yeah. I'll use a good example. When I don't know, a lot of our viewers might not remember or care. And when the whole thing happened, Vince, where I made the prediction that Mike Norvell was taking the Alabama job, I predicted it, right?
Yeah, I remember.
Vince, how a minimum hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of comments kind of pointing out and poking fun, right?
Yes, that was your viral moment.
Yeah. Vince, and you know me because we talked about it and I texted, what was my actual reaction?
You said, looks like I stepped in it there.
And I laughed.
And you laughed. And you were, and then on the next show, you were like, hey, come at me, bro.
Yeah, I was like, I was wrong, guys. And I laughed about it. To this day, I have inside jokes with people who poke fun at me, and I find it hilarious. A guy like Kirk Herbstreit, first of all, he shouldn't, if he doesn't like it and he doesn't like what these people are saying, he just shouldn't respond because it makes him look small when he does, as a ESPN analyst, respond to nobody on X that are just like pictureless Twitter accounts.
Yes.
But if you are going to respond, let me put I'm Kirk Herbstreit. Let me take away my emotional baggage and the dog to bed. My reaction, if some people are like, see, guess you were wrong, would be very similar to actually like Paul Feinbaum's reaction, which I loathe Paul Feinbaum.
Ugh.
But guess what? On that next show, after Alabama lost, he said, guys, I was the first one telling you guys Alabama should have been in. I'm here to tell you today, as of today, I'm off the Alabama train. I was wrong. And he laughs and everyone laughs. And then it goes away.
Right.
Laugh at yourself.
My man's not going to do that.
Admit when you're wrong. poke fun at yourself. It's the easiest thing in the world to do. Well, for most people, I can poke fun at myself all day. I make fun of past mistakes I've made on the here on the show, major life mistakes that I've made. I've literally been like, you know, I've done this, and I laugh at it because I'm like, oh, it sucked. But looking back, I can look back and smile and laugh about it now. Be a little bit more um,
Humble.
humble and fallible.
Be fallible. And it's okay, Kirk. It's okay for you to acknowledge, to say that, yes, I understand that the things that I say can can be taken as clout to some people. He has to know. For him to say that doesn't exist is just ridiculously short-sighted, and it's like no self-awareness. You have a platform. Millions of people follow you. Tens of millions, hundreds of millions of people watch you season in, season out. The things you say matter, and the things you say are effective, and they have an effect. For you to say that it doesn't is stupid. It's stupid and ridiculous. Don't say that. Don't say that. It is okay to be accountable and say, I understand that the things I say can have an effect, so I'm going to be careful about the things that I say. That's the part for him, for me, is like, you have this, you've been gifted this platform.
And earned it.
Or yes, you've put in the effort, but you've been gifted this platform. Don't screw it up. Quit screwing it up. Just quit screwing it up. College football is in enough turmoil right now with the pageant and all the conspiracy stuff going on, and the Head and Shoulders conference trying to take their ball and go home. We have enough problems right now. And by the way, we can talk about this on a later show. Nick Saban does not need to be the commissioner of football.
Yeah.
No.
By the way, I truly enjoy him as a commentator, as a broadcaster. I think Nick Saban is hilarious when juxtaposed with Pat McAfee. I find it infinitely entertaining. So I hope he just keeps doing that.
Yeah, he is also a Kool-Aid drinker, and I believe he believes all of the propaganda. I think he believes all that. So
He is funny though. Did you hear his comments about Jeremiah Smith?
No.
Did you? No, so not Jeremiah. Did you hear the comment he made about the Texas kicker?
No.
He's like, you know how I knew he wasn't going to make it? Never once in my career as a coach have I walked up to my kicker and talked to him. And he laughs. He's like, because the coach went up to him and was like, "You got this." And he's like, "I knew it was not going to be." That's why I like Nick Saban's folksiness sometimes. I appreciate it. If he was a nicer person, sometimes he could have a Bobby Bowden feel to him and what he's meant to the sport. He's meant a lot to the sport, no doubt. But I appreciate his humor sometimes. I really do.
We are coming up on 7:55, Ryan, and I know we're going to be cutting this show a little short tonight because Ryan has some other duties as required, his real job.
Yeah.
But folks, we thank you for joining the show tonight. Please, if you haven't already done so, go over to YouTube and like it and subscribe. We are trying to push to get our subscriber number. George has inspired me to get our subscriber number up. And with this new year and newfound hope with the team and some momentum, we're hoping that happens. Live from Captain Black Fishing Studios North and live from Captain Black Fishing Studios Central, this has been Garnet Old. No inside info, no contacts, no problem. Ryan, I'll let you take it out.
Send Chiefs all the damn time and go Noles.
Go Noles.